Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Thursday, June 16th, 2022. And our top story today, managing inflation's impact on caregivers. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Ray McGrath. Ray, thanks so much for joining us again on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
All right, so our topic today is inflation and how to manage it if you're a caregiver. But my first question is, how's your mom doing?
My mom's on hospice. She was, I guess hospice typically means you have 6 months of life expectancy, although it's not an exact science. She's just finished her 9 months. So I guess in that respect, she's doing well. She is, I think being in her own environment, having her own personalized caregiver, sleeping on her schedule, basically doing things her way is allowed her to put on some weight, and I think it's relieved some stress from her life, and it's showing, so and the way we take it now is just one day at a time, but her conditions overall have improved in the last 9 months.
Well, that's great, and I want to get into more of that in a minute, but let's talk about inflation. And you live in the Garden State in New Jersey. Gas prices, food prices going up just like they are in the rest of the country. Has this been an impact to your ability either to deliver caregiving or to find somebody to deliver caregiving?
Well, it hasn't changed what I pay for caregiving, and I'm hoping every day that my caregivers don't ask for an increase. But that being said, I pay for the caregiver's food and my mom's food. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's all transportation costs involved, and I have to kind of pick up and deliver the caregiver, and just basically driving around. The cost of driving has gotten more expensive. So yeah, I'm absorbing it. But for the actual caregiving part of, everything else has gone up except for caregiving right now, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And in terms of, in our second segment, we're going to talk about burnout. And I'm not insinuating that you're burning out, but you mentioned your mom's mental health, which is very important. Not being lonely, she's got a caregiver, she's sleeping on her schedule, that's important. How about how you feel kind of managing, you've got a family, you've got children, you've got a wife, you've got a job, you've got friends that you like to go see. How about managing all this inflationary pressure and doing all of the things plus caregiving?
Yeah, it's tough. So I spend a couple of days a month just giving the caregiver a break, and I stay with my mom and take care of her 24/7 for a few days. So, on those days when it's say a beautiful day outside and things like that, it's a little stressful, or I have to tell you, I missed my family hosted Easter without me, so that was a big I was with my mom, which was fine, but the rest of my family, they were at my home, and friends and relatives were at my home, but I wasn't there. So yeah, it gets stressful around holidays for sure.
Ray, last question before we go to a commercial break and talk about burnout on the flip side. But let me ask you, any tips? You've been in this caregiving mode for, as you said, over 9 months, because there was the planning aspect to this. There was the diagnosis, the information, the processing information, and the planning. Let's talk about tips that you might have for managing the inflation, the pressure, the financial pressure that many of us are feeling, and also delivering caregiving.
Well, so a few people know about my situation, and when I hear so I'm in New Jersey. It's obviously a lot more expensive in New Jersey. I was just talking to someone in North Carolina who, I don't know all the details, but assisted living care in New Jersey, I have 3 friends, and they were all paying around $12,000 plus a month, $12,500 in that range. And I think all the at least the assisted living facilities in New Jersey, that's the rate. But I was talking to someone in North Carolina, and he was saying, well, we're paying a little less than $6,000. So I'm like, is it really that much of a difference? I don't know, but I could see, obviously there are other parts of the country where cost of living is higher, but I know, Jeff, you're in North Carolina. You could look into it. How about that? I'll make an assignment for you, but I don't think it's that much cheaper in North Carolina. Maybe it's 5%, 10%, but not 50%. That's much.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all to your point, and I will take on that assignment, and maybe we'll find somebody. We'll do a comparison, compare and contrast with you to see, kind of tick off the list of things. I think that would be really interesting for the audience. But things are going up here. The cost of, cost of food. Fortunately, right now I'm not a caregiver. My parents are able to take care of themselves, but that could change over time. Ray, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about managing caregiver burnout. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Hopefully now you're interested in investing in stocks, which we at the Motley Fool believe is the single best way for folks like you and me to gain what could be truly life-changing wealth. That's why today we've got a special offer for new members. Since the service started, our average stock pick has returned over 600%, and that's over 4 times the return of the S&P 500. Don't regret not taking action right now. Just enter your email to get started.
Welcome back. We're talking this morning to Ray McGrath. Ray, thanks as always for staying with us this morning.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it is, and great information, and we thank you for sharing this very personal experience and the events that you're going through with your mom. Let's talk about burnout, because all of us are facing a lot of mental health stress, strain, loneliness, the impact of quarantine, financial pressures. It's impacting every part of the population, seniors especially. But let's talk about recognizing caregiver burnout. And I have to assume that you have detailed conversations with the caregiver that is working with your mom, and you're able to assess whether or not he or she have suffering from any type of burnout.
Yeah, I would say, pardon me, my caregiver, I think caregivers are unique individuals because it's almost you have to give a piece of yourself to basically a stranger, and to live with them and to care for them is stressful. But I mean, the woman I have, I mean, she's a really good person from what I can ascertain. I mean, I find it, I personally, and I'm only there a couple of days a month, I find it stressful. I mean, obviously she looks forward to her time off, the caregiver,
Sure.
but she seems to embrace the job. I mean, she's been doing it for years for a variety of individuals. You know, she tells me the stories of other people she's taken care of. But I do know she looks forward to her couple days off every month, which I can understand. You know, because in some ways, I don't want to equate it to prison, but you're kind of confined to living with someone. And if
Right.
that person doesn't want to go out or doesn't have the ability to go out for a walk in the park, I mean, you're basically, you know, in that house or home or condo, whatever. So you definitely need a break. Everyone needs a break. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And what
I
about?
haven't seen any change, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I mean, do you look, you're basically employing this person to take care of your mom, just like you would look for signs of stress or behavioral changes in your own family or your coworkers, for example. Or your friends, do you look for signs of distress or things that are just abnormal or different than, you know, what you would typically expect from the person?
I do, but I don't know if I'm that observant. My wife is more observant. So my wife, she spends a couple hours with the caregiver every week, taking her grocery shopping and doing other shopping around town. And she seems to enjoy that time out away from my mom with my wife. And my wife, my wife does a good job of reading her moods and how she's feeling and some of the stories she tells about what went on during the week and whatnot. But I think she opens up more to my wife than she does to me. Yeah, no,
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
But there are times I'm worried if she's going to like quit on me, and then I'm in a bit of a bind, so to speak. But
so is that your big? So when you think about your own mental awareness, is that your biggest? And this may be a little bit invasive, so my apologies, and you can say no. But is this your biggest? Obviously, you're taking care of your mom is paramount. You're juggling all these balls. Is that your biggest concern? Maybe not necessarily the fees or the funding, but it's about whether or not you're going to lose the access to this caregiver because she might get frustrated or get another job.
Right. Yeah. And in fact, that's exactly it. I was telling my mom, hey, you got to be a little bit more understanding, nicer to the caregiver. She doesn't know the full situation. I didn't really share with her that, I'm paying for the caregiver. She would probably, she thinks insurance is paying, which is fine. I don't want to stress her out over anything.
Sure.
But no, I think for me, you're very reliant upon this caregiver because it allows me to kind of do my personal job, my personal responsibilities, my professional responsibilities. It allows me to kind of live my life for 90% of the month, so to speak. So, if I didn't have a caregiver, I would be going through more burnout and things like that. And in fact, even when the caregiver wants time off, and I look at my schedule for that day and I've got a full day, I really have to make it accommodate the caregiver because I don't want to lose the caregiver. So I change my schedule to fit the caregiver's schedule. I try to be as accommodative as possible, basically.
I mean, you're effectively an employer, and that's what employers today are doing, whether it's remote work, hybrid work, in office. I mean, you've got to be flexible. You can't really have an edict here because we rely on one another. Last question, Ray, before we conclude the show, and that is, you mentioned your mom has really outlived the diagnosis. I mean, they said, 6 months? Mm-hmm. But she's improving. You said she's gaining weight. What are the next steps or things that you were thinking about getting to 12 months or maybe to 18 months or to 24 months?
Yeah, I guess if you had a crystal ball and you look back, I'd say, well, maybe I should have, if it's going to be a multi-year, and I don't know if it is, to be honest, because she has cancer and you don't know, in older people, I'm not a doctor, but maybe it doesn't spread as fast. And so when I talk to my mom every couple of days and I observe her, I just look to see if I see any kind, and same thing, she has nurses coming to check on her as well, checking her vitals. We haven't seen any drop off, and that's what we're looking for. And even the nurses tell me who are kind of in the hospice program that it's so hard to predict, and that things can change in a day. In a couple of days, and you'll see it'll suddenly take a downhill turn. I know there was one point they started giving my mom morphine, And she refused it. She said it gave her an upset stomach and she didn't like the way it affected her equilibrium. So, I mean, she's got her wits about her. So she didn't want to be on morphine, So, she wants healthy foods, organic. She's a tough cookie, I guess you could say,
Well, it sounds like things are going very well. We wish her and you and the rest of the family the best, and we appreciate you sharing a little bit of insight. I think this is helpful for the audience. Best of luck to you, and look forward to catching up with you again in the very near future. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, Jeff.
That wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content? We'll visit our website and our streaming partners. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRN AM. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the First Lifestyle and Wellness Network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.